All right, everybody, Thursday Thunder time as I adjust my cowboy hat. We've got a big one for you tonight.
By comparison, over the last few weeks, this does actually feel like a big game.
Yeah. 2 7-7 teams fighting for a last little playoff spot. Rams been playing good. We're going to take 2 anytime touchdowns from this game.
Wow.
Yep.
Do you think we're going to have 2 touchdowns
We're
on
going to
Thursday
have
night?
more than 2 touchdowns, but we're going to definitely have 2 from these gentlemen right here. Number 1, anytime tutty goes to Kyren Williams, who's excellent, by the way.
He's awesome.
We haven't talked about him at all.
He runs very hard.
He's really good.
I think, does he still lead the league in yards after contact? And he's proven that, he's a lot better than the rest of the running backs that they have on the roster, because when he's missing, you notice.
And he missed like 6 weeks with an ankle sprain, too. Second anytime tutty goes to the one and only Alvin Kamara. So we've got 2 running backs, 2 anytime tutties between 2 teams on prime time Thursday night football, brought to you by Amazon. And then we're not going to go against history here, okay? The Detroit Pistons have lost, by my count, 24 games in a row. They started 2-1, Dano. Did you know that?
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Did you know the Detroit Pistons started 2-1?
They started 2-1 and now have lost 24 consecutive games. We are going with the Utah Jazz on the back-to-back, second half of back-to-back. Utah Jazz, we're going to take them -1 against the spread.
This is the spot for the Pistons to win.
No, we're going to roll it back one more time. Pistons lose again in a heartbreaker. We're taking Utah Jazz -1 and 2 anytime tutties, Kyren Williams, Alvin Kamara.
Congratulations, Detroit Pistons fans, on your first win in your last 25 games.
As a reminder, Thursday Thunder is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. You can follow our parlay on the DraftKings Sportsbook app.
I am embarrassed to say that while Tony was talking, I was enjoying a better show on television in here than the one we're doing. Dan Orlovsky, dressed as some sort of elf glasses wearing person in a burgundy suit.
That's just his suit.
A better burgundy suit than the one Mike Ryan is wearing. Did Dan's A-list top 5 Christmas likes, where he just ranked the things that he likes best about Christmas. He is a famously bland human being. His flavors on food are famously bland in a way that's fairly disgusting. But Orlovsky and Christmas likes, his number 1 is the same as my number 1. This time of year, I'm on channel 79. Holly, my favorite Christmas like is Christmas music. I enjoy Christmas music this time of year. I'm embarrassed.
What's your favorite?
Really? I'm embarrassed to say it.
What's your favorite little ditty?
Well, Little Drummer Boy is my favorite of the Christmas songs. Yes,
that's a great one. Very traditional.
That's a bit of an upset here. Yes, but would you like to hear Dan Orlovsky's top 5 Christmas likes, or should I create a top 5 better?
You create
Dan
O's
Christmas likes.
Christmas likes.
I'm just happy we're saying Christmas again.
I need to gather myself
Thank
in
you,
order
45.
to do this. In order to do this correctly. So maybe we will do that next segment, shall we?
This, Dan, is, by the way, this is a response to yesterday. Mad Dog had his things he hates most about Christmas.
The dislikes.
Yeah, the dislikes about Christmas.
Number
I bet
5?
that was a good list.
Number 5 was Mom's Veal Parm.
Yeah, he hates it.
She always burns it.
Orlovsky said his number 3 Christmas likes is people are nicer. Is that true?
No.
I think so.
Dan Orlovsky has someone shop for him very clearly.
People are in the holiday spirit. I think there's a lot more like eye contact. I'm someone who really likes a little eye contact and a wave at a stranger. Just like a little acknowledgement that you exist, you're another human being on the planet. And that doesn't happen in the other 11 months of the year down here in South Florida. But occasionally I can see someone and just, hey, how are you?
You should move out of a blue city.
Can you guys take any guesses on what Orlovsky's top 5 looks like? What are some of your favorite Christmas likes? Also, Juju at LeBatard Show, put it on the poll, please. Are people indeed nicer during the holidays? I have not experienced that. Lucy, you've generally found Miami to be rude, right? I don't know anyone who comes here from any other part of the country who doesn't think that this area is unfriendly.
It's very unfriendly.
Really? What?
Yeah, people aren't nice to me. I ask them how they're doing. They don't respond. I smile. They don't smile back. Like,
But that's weirdo behavior. Like, who asks people how they're feeling?
me.
You're my therapist.
So you
What's
want
going
something
on?
from me?
I'm
What do you
not
want?
like going up to someone walking down the street and being like, "Hey, how are you doing?" But like if I'm at a restaurant, my server comes up to the table, I'll say, "Hey, how are you?" And they usually just ignore it.
Yeah.
And that really hurts my feelings.
Oh, come let us adore him. Come let us adore
Keep it going.
him. Oh, come let us adore him. Christ the Lord. Oh, are you offended?
Billy actually is right when he asks the question. It is possible in Miami that the people serving you don't speak English and don't understand what it is you're saying. To
But
them.
a smile? No. Come on.
Asking too much.
And
Exactly.
I have a friendly face. Like, just smile back. Just be kind. It'll ruin my day if you don't. I'm very sensitive.
Are people nice elsewhere? Like, I just
Yeah.
assume this is a human thing.
No, people are nice elsewhere. Like,
Why?
I don't know. It's to make me feel better. They're so nice. Like, grew up in North Carolina, Southern, very friendly. Iowa, also a very friendly place until you start making jokes about the offense and they get really mad. They start tweeting things at your dad, so don't do that. But in LA, they were even nice to me out there too. But here, I just can't get people to be nice to me. It really hurts my feelings. Because if I ask you how you're doing, I genuinely want to know.
I really can't stay.
Mulkey, it's cold outside.
I've got to go away.
Mulkey, it's cold outside.
This evening has been
Hoping that you'd drop in.
so very nice.
The smell of Christmas is on Orlovsky's list at number 5. The smell of Christmas.
Christmas trees?
The Christmas tree has, well, that's the only smell I associate with. Do you associate it with a food of any kind? All I do is, I do like the smell of pine. I like, I think the first thing that ever hung from a rearview mirror of mine was the old-fashioned Christmas tree that made the car smell like pine.
That sounds like an olden time.
Oh, my God.
It's
Turn up-
beautiful.
turn up
though.
truck looking
Yeah,
at it.
turn up truck. Absolutely.
Put it on the poll, please, Juju. Did Dan have a Christmas tree deodorant hanging from the rearview mirror of his turnip truck?
The only other smell I could think of, and this is as someone in South Florida where we don't actually have fireplaces,
Say it.
would be a fireplace candle.
No.
Or something like a log cabin candle where you can get some of those other smells, or cinnamon sugar cookies or
Candy
something, but all
cane.
candles.
Yeah,
Candy
Candy
cane.
cane works.
Peppermint's perfect.
No, it's lechon is what it smells like.
That
on
is true. It's got
Christmas.
hachina. It's
You
lechon.
guys
It's
have
carbon.
We do the 7 fishes in my house, so I just think of fried smelts.
I ought to say no, 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 sir.
Mind if I move in closer?
At least I'm going to say that I tried.
What's the sense in wait? How old are you?
I really can't say.
The Lights of New York, number 4 for Orlovsky. The Lights of New York.
Yeah, good lights.
Please present 2 valid forms of ID.
Why just New York, though? You like Christmas decorations,
There's a lot of
right?
big giant trees there. I think that's what he's doing.
Okay.
Lots of decorations everywhere this time of year there.
Manufacturing civil unrest, so everyone votes by mail. That's what they're up to.
I like Christmas decorated neighborhoods. I like neighbors competing to have the better.
Do like your mayor. Solid guy.
My mom is redneck, and we keep our Christmas lights up the entire year, and we turn them on all the time. Really? Yeah, it's very easy when people come over because you're like, oh, my house is the one with the Christmas lights on. But yeah, whole year we had our Christmas lights up.
Are they the colorful lights or they're the white
No,
lights?
they're white lights, so
Oh, that's
classy. But in July, yep, Christmas lights are up.
I love that. That's like the Christmas themed bars all year long. That's like my favorite type of dive bar, is going to one that has Christmas lights up all year long. I would love
You go to a lot
hang
of
out at the
those?
house.
Do those a lot of those
They
exist?
exist, yeah.
Yeah, there are
Come
a lot
on,
of
those
those.
exist.
I've never seen one in Miami ever.
Well,
That's on you.
I've learned so much about Lucy today, like in the pre-show meeting and the show. It's pretty incredible.
Well, what did you learn in the pre-show meeting? Because I'm learning all
Her
of
dad's the
this
best.
for the first time. What did her dad do other than she was worried about what she was going to get her dad for Christmas? Her dad is a bit of a star. People are noticing him, and he's defending his daughter against the crazies in Iowa.
Did you know the first Christmas was in March?
I can't believe that
How?
Lucy still had Christmas lights in June and July. That doesn't make any sense to me. It sounds lazy.
It's redneck. It's redneck as hell.
That's when JC was born.
Put it on the poll, Juju, at LeBatard Show. Christmas lights still on your house in July. Lazy or redneck?
Also, the Earth is only 6,000 years old.
Finally, somebody says it.
I was telling Billy this morning about how when we were younger, my dad loved to lie to us to like an insane extent. Because we were talking about the New Year's fairy, and it reminded me of this time where they built a McDonald's next to my dad's house, like right down the street. So my dad typed up an official letter from McDonald's Corporation, had his coworker sign it, sent it to our house to my little sister that said, if you go to this McDonald's, you will be arrested and suffer the same fate as the Hamburglar. And he thought it was the funniest thing in the world. She's like 6 years old, or she's probably like 8, terrified because she just wants to go to McDonald's. She feels like she's going to get arrested if we do. Months later, my dad's like, I'm not going to cook. We're going to go to this McDonald's. My sister starts having a panic attack in the drive-thru line. And we're like, what's going on? She's like, I can't be here. The cops are going to show up. I'm going to get arrested. And he would just do stuff like that for fun all the time.
Is the Hamburglar still around, or did we end that character? Because I could see where the Hamburglar would be scary to a child if a parent is saying the Hamburglar is going to come and arrest you. There's going to be an arrest situation.
He wasn't going to arrest my sister. She was going to suffer the same fate as the Hamburger and be in jail with him.
Yes.
Same cell and everything.
Isn't the Hamburglar scary to kids? Wouldn't he be a little bit scary?
I think she was more scared of just like going to jail.
Yeah,
for
jail.
going to
Yeah.
McDonald's. She was 8 years old. Like, she believed it. And he had the official letterhead and everything. Like, you would have believed it was a real letter from McDonald's. He typed up the whole thing.
Has McDonald's discontinued the Hamburglar, or is the Hamburglar still a character for McDonald's? Number 2 on Orlovsky's list, by the way,
Pa-rum-pum-pum-pum.
of Christmas likes, Christmas movies.
Die Hard.
Sound of Freedom.
I don't like Christmas movies. Does that make me?
You have something against Kirk Cameron.
Being a real Grinch, Dan.
Does that make me that I don't like Christmas movies? When I'm telling you I'm driving around, I'm enjoying the holiday spirit in my car. I'm listening to Holly Channel 79. It's not that I don't want the Christmas spirit. It's just I don't need Christmas movies.
Have the Christmas movies on, but the sound down listening to Christmas music.
I'm the asshole here.
Always.
I want Mina's best information, most informed insight on Brock Purdy in a second. But I want to, before we get to Mina Kimes, bring up before her a subject that Lucy is claiming In-N-Out is overrated as a hamburger franchise. And there was an 8-hour line recently. Where was this, Lucy, that there was an 8-hour line for In-N-Out?
So they opened up the first In-N-Out in, I believe, somewhere in Idaho. 8-hour wait in the drive-thru for In-N-Out. I remember when I first went to LA, when I moved there for the first time, I was like, I'm going to try In-N-Out. This is going to change my life. It's fine. It's fine. The fries taste like cardboard. The burgers are good. Worth 8 hours? Absolutely not. No way.
Mina, do you have a verdict you want to make here as someone who is now a defender of all things West Coast?
Am I? I'm not a defender of In-N-Out. I agree with Lucy. It's fine. I think the burger is good. She's right. The fries are not that great. I feel like it's all about what alternatives you have. Like if you live in a city where you don't have really good fast food or really good burgers, I can see why you'd be excited. But out here, there's plenty of better places too.
Los Angeles does food well, but In-N-Out has an exceptional reputation throughout America, does it not? You are saying something fairly shocking when you say that In-N-Out is overrated.
Am I?
It's just like the hype of it. Like I remember I had never been to California. I grew up in like the South. So In-N-Out was just like this thing you would see in TV shows and movies. So you're like, it's got to be great. And the drive-thru line is always so long and it moves so slow. So you're like, this is going to be phenomenal. And it's just fine. And also there's all these like weird little like tricks you need to know that you can order something animal style or extra crispy, or it's like, it's just too complicated of a system and it's not worth an 8-hour wait or like even an hour wait.
I don't think it's that. I mean, there's like 2 things you can order.
I didn't know them ahead of time. Too difficult. I'm just a girl, Mina.
I'm a Chick-fil-A stan. Like I will go if I'm in like the Atlanta airport. I will go
Ditto.
To a different terminal.
Guilty as charged. Who doesn't love Polynesian sauce?
We like KFC around these parts.
Oh, KFC. Jeez.
Don't do that.
Whoa.
I don't know about that.
Mina, real quick, before we get to the Purdy stuff, I wanted to bring you in on something Pete Carroll related. Pete Carroll, I saw Mike Lombardi. I thought you'd be good because on this subject, the Seattle Seahawks, you love that team. And Pete Carroll's style that Mike Lombardi described as spreading love, the word love, not just positivity, but the loving of players. Can you please tell me how common that is in that sport? Can you tell me about the idea of Pete Carroll somehow leading through love?
I don't think it's common to the degree that he espouses it or acts upon it, or the way his players talk about him. Especially you see a lot of former players who come back, whether it's rejoining the team, being around the team. I've talked to a lot of former players about Pete, and almost to a man, the way they speak about him, I would say, is unique. Having talked to other players about other coaches, they absolutely adore him. He is like the definition of a player's coach. They talk about how he believes in them. I think Geno Smith was fantastic on that in an interview earlier this year about how Pete almost like made him believe in himself and quiet the critical inner voice, which I thought, wow, if that's not coaching, I don't know what is. And I know I sound probably like a homer, and I'm not. Like, Pete has his flaws, including trying to get a timeout back the other night. But in terms of the way players feel about him, I do think it is unique.
People are making fun of me here because I don't know what that does for an environment. To have love in an environment, especially that kind of environment that's just all military feel all over it. But they were making fun of me because I was actually moved, not because Seattle beat Philadelphia the other night, but because of how happy Geno Smith genuinely seemed on the sideline for Drew Lock, and their friendship being something that could feel like that, even where I could see the emotion on Geno Smith, even though I couldn't physically see his face because he was just happy for his guy. I was moved by that, and I was surprised that I was moved by that.
How could you not be moved by it? It was cool to see Drew in his interview with Lisa Salters clearly holding back emotion, talking about how, at times he had lost belief in himself, which is so integral to playing the quarterback position, and his voice caught a little bit. And I was emotional watching that. But then when you saw the clip of Geno Smith, the context, the history, the awareness that we all have that Geno Smith, more than maybe any starting quarterback in the NFL right now, understands what it is like to come out as a starter. Drew Lock, you remember, was a starter earlier in his career. To lose a job, to be seen as a backup, to question your own bona fides and abilities, and then to come back and do what Geno did last year was amazing. He gets the big contract, generational money. That's fantastic. But who understands what Drew Lock was going through in that moment more than Geno Smith? And we know that. We see that. And then you see the connection between two of them. That shared experience is beautiful.
Can you explain to Mike Ryan and the rest of us, with your best of analytics, what we're presently witnessing from Brock Purdy? I'm confused, Mina, when I see that Mostert isn't valued with money at a disposable position, but he has as many touchdowns as Christian McCaffrey. When all of these teams have to find value, cheap players who overperform contracts, what is Brock Purdy? What's the best assessment of Brock Purdy?
I think there's two things. We're not seeing something with Brock Purdy that we haven't seen. We're seeing something with this offense, and that is not a detriment to Brock Purdy or any individual players. What they are doing as an right now, Dan, they're on pace to break a lot of records as an offense. I think they're fourth in NFL history in yards per play or something, but they're clearly the best offense in the NFL. They rank first in just about every category. They're phenomenal, and there's a lot of reasons for that. The players, the coaching, the scheme, all of it. What we're seeing from Purdy is a quarterback who has improved, who I think is executing the offense at a really high level, who is executing it better than other quarterbacks have in the system, and deserves a ton of credit for that. But when we talk about, what this offense is, which is an absolute buzzsaw and nightmare, it's not because of the quarterback. It's because of the offense. And you mentioned Mostert, who's fantastic, but Christian McCaffrey, when you watch this offense on tape, is so clearly, to me, the straw that stirs the drink. Because what he can do on a football field there's no one else in the NFL right now who can do it. It's why I object to when people point to running back contracts and they say, well, look at Christian McCaffrey. Well, no, Christian McCaffrey is a unicorn, and he's also paired, by the way, with a coach who has optimized him in a way, a coach who already was the best play caller in the NFL and has optimized him in a way we haven't seen. His ability to run, he's like an incredible pure runner, run routes, catch passes, and block at a high level, makes him the queen on the chessboard in this offense, and it makes him almost impossible to defend.
Correct me where I'm wrong in this oversimplified analysis, but Brock Purdy couldn't do much of anything when McCaffrey, Debo, and Trent Williams were all limping around or hurt. That's where they lost their games, and that's where people started questioning Brock Purdy again.
Yeah, well, it was Williams and Debo were out for both of those games in completion, and I think it's tricky because on one hand you can say, well, any quarterback, if you took out two of their best players, would be worse. However, if you took away, I don't know, Kelsey or Diggs, those quarterbacks would have no one. Whereas in San Francisco, you still had Kittle and they're the Monstars. So it's not really comparable. But I think it doesn't mean Brock Purdy isn't a good quarterback or that he's not a great fit for this offense. It, to me, highlights the fact that the offense it's the way they all fit together that makes it so deadly. It's not a case, and we've seen this, by the way, with quarterbacks, where sometimes when you watch, I don't know, Lamar Jackson over the years is the one that comes to mind, Josh Allen at points in his career, and you watch them and you put them on, you say, that quarterback is putting this team on his back. Oh my God, everything is running through him. That's not the case in San Francisco, and that's fine. I don't know why, like that, even to say that out loud has sort of been positioned as hate or bias or anti-Purdy. It's just a reality. It's acknowledging the context that he's playing in. And if you're a Niners fan, you should be thrilled. Your offense is a machine that is not entirely dependent, by the way, on one player the way other offenses are.
How much better is San Francisco healthy than the second best team in the league?
I think there's a pretty significant gap, to be honest. Although, we'll see. I think Baltimore probably matches up with them better than any team in the NFL. So we will see that, which at the test of Christmas, of course. But they're so balanced. The defense is, though they have some struggles against the run, a top 5 defense as well. And then offensively, I just think it's such a nightmare to defend this offense. I think the NFC, there's a pretty significant gap between them and everyone else. The AFC, the top 4 teams would make it a little bit more interesting. Mahomes. I think the Dolphins would be an interesting matchup as well. The Bills, the way they're playing right now, and the Ravens. But they are clearly the best team in the NFL to me.
Who is the second best team in the NFC? Because a couple weeks ago, clearly it would have been Philadelphia, and I'm really confused by what I'm watching. Yeah, their schedule's gotten tougher, but that game on Monday night was certainly a winnable game, and they seemingly went out of their way to keep Seattle in it.
I don't think it's Philly. I still think it's Dallas, which I know they got stomped by San Francisco, and they just got stomped, so that feels off, but the reality is Dallas can play a lot better than what we saw. Some of that had to do with game script too. Whereas Philly, I think the offense can be better and that they've been the more disappointing unit, but that defense is not good. And it's not good in a way that's fixable. It's not a coaching problem, which is why I thought it was kind of strange that they made the coaching change going to Matt Patricia, because watching them all season, they have personnel problems. There are holes all over that defense, injuries as well, talent, age, that sort of thing. That's not getting better. Whereas I think with Dallas, there are things that can be fixed.
Entertain in a minute or less for us Stugotz's hypothetical from yesterday. Bill Belichick is hypothetically available. How many teams are firing their present coach for that availability?
Maybe half.
Are you surprised that we are headed toward a space where Belichick is available and it can look like the younger minds are the minds that you'd prefer to have? The younger styles of Pete Carroll's, and he's not younger, but the younger style of a Pete Carroll, right, which connects with players.
Yes and no. Yeah, he's the best coach in NFL history, so of course it's surprising that he's not going out on his own terms. Like, that is, if you say that's not surprising, you're lying. The fact that we've gotten to this point. But I think what makes it not surprising and what makes it likely to happen is his failures as a GM. And the problem is that those things have gotten so intertwined. You can't, like, the ideal outcome in my mind for New England would be to fire Belichick, the GM, and keep Belichick, the coach, who's still very good at coaching defensive football situationally. I think the offense, like the failures of this team are because of the roster, which he built. So he deserves blame. I think what likely has happened in New England, I'm sure we'll get, a 8,000 word Seth Wickersham piece in time to actually kind of tell us what really happened, is Belichick, they couldn't split it. Like, they couldn't say to him, okay, it was too humiliating or not something he wanted to give up, would be my guess as to why this is coming to an end.
To be clear, that is something that I just did. I just pointed out the young style of Pete Carroll, who is the oldest coach in the NFL. I will pose to Mina Kimes the question that Chris Long asked me. The Dolphins lose in the wild card round. They have a chance here at the end of the season to either be the 1 seed, if they can beat the Ravens, or fall out of the playoffs under certain circumstances. And it seems a likely scenario that they'll have to face Buffalo 2 weeks in a row, the last week of the season and then first week of the playoffs. That can happen. Do you pay Tua? What do you pay?
You were going to ask that. I knew it.
What do you pay Tua? How do you handle the finances of this?
Have you seen that TikTok video of the guy with the ponytail who keeps saying, I reject the question, and saying both? I don't know if Dan is online enough to have seen it. It's excellent. I saw that. I related to it because I feel like I am that guy, or at least I try to be that guy. Every time I come on the show and Dan, you ask me a difficult question, especially one about the Niners or Dolphins, I feel like, because my answer is never going to be a definitive yes or no, because I am a snake. My answer is it depends on how Tua plays in those games. If Tua really struggles with pressure, he can't extend, God forbid he gets hurt, whatever, then I think you have to ask serious questions. But if he plays well and they lose, you still pay him. I think down the stretch, it really just comes down to actually what it looks like on the field for me.
But the reason I want to press you on this is because I would think that you can make your evaluation already. Why do I need 2 extra games? Why do I need 1 game? You're telling me 1 game. I'm making a decision about 5 years of franchise, and you're telling me I've got 1 game to make it and how he plays in that 1 game. And I'm like, don't you already know what he is? If you're evaluating from the inside, don't you already know what his value is?
I would say, well, first, I was thinking more like down the stretch and in the postseason than just 1 game, honestly. So I agree with you. It wouldn't be just 1 game, but I think you know what his ceiling is. I think there are still questions about his ability to routinely hit that ceiling against really good teams. And I'm not calling them frauds and whatever Mike McDaniel said about the narrative. But if I'm a fan base and I want to feel comfortable with having him as a long-term answer at quarterback and devoting a great deal of the cap to him, I want to feel comfortable with the idea that he can rise to that occasion in those moments, overcome adversity. He has at points during his career, but I think this is a very crucial postseason for them.
Do you have a think piece answer for me on how football can't keep its quarterbacks healthy because football happens to them?
I don't. I think it can be random, to be honest. The amount of injuries we've seen this year, the last time was actually like 2014. So it's not like, I don't think the game has changed in a way that is suddenly leading to more injuries. I think these things kind of just happen in clusters. Obviously, they change the rules a lot to try to stop them from happening with quarterbacks, but it feels to me like this is just a bad luck year for a lot of
you've said that before, and I'd like to believe that is so, but it seems weird, Mina, that they've gone out of their way so much to change the rules, and it can just be mathematical happenstance, but they've gone so far out of their way to make sure that these players are not hit. The fact that all of them are still getting hurt is super weird to me.
But some of the injuries are all different. Like Joe Burrow broke his wrist, right? I mean, it wasn't like, he took like a crazy hit and he broke his leg or anything like that. And Dan, like, it didn't happen last year to this extent. Like, I'm not watching the sport and thinking, oh my gosh, they need to protect them even more, or this is a trend. It just feels kind of fluky, to be honest. I really believe that to be the case.
Mina, Trevor Lawrence, Matthew Stafford,
Bum.
Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen. All these quarterbacks have one thing in common, and that is they are presently ranked behind Baker Mayfield in passer rating this season. How has Baker turned his career around in Tampa?
I think that he is playing in a scheme and situation that we have seen him have success with in the past. Mike, you have seen him with a front row seat in Cleveland have success with. A couple of things jump out. The pass protection has been actually pretty good in Tampa. They struggled last year. The offensive line is back on track. That matters a lot for Baker Mayfield, who's always been a quarterback who plays his best football when he's protected and struggles at time with pressure. I also think that Dave Canales, who's their offensive coordinator, used to be in Seattle, has really called an offense that leans into his skills. You saw that on display against the Packers. The use of play action, throwing over the middle of the field. When Baker is in the right situation, he is a good quarterback. He's accurate. He's got a strong arm. He has struggled just when that hasn't been the case.
Is he going to turn into a pumpkin? Because it's pretty outrageous. We're this late into the season, and he has a better passer rating than Patrick Mahomes. That's pretty impressive for my guy.
Josh Allen too, right?
Yeah.
Passer rating is not a good stat. So
okay, well, he's also pretty damn impressive from QBR.
No,
so you are alleging that Baker Mayfield, for my money, easily the comeback player of the year, is going to turn into a pumpkin.
How do we feel about comeback player of the year? And this was the case Geno won last year, being about coming back from being bad or being perceived
that's what it
to
should be.
Bad.
That's what it should be. Damar Hamlin has one tackle on the year. What did he come back from?
Half a tackle. He came back. Come on.
Might not even be him.
Oh, God. That was a bit of a surprise. That was a thing for a while.
Still a thing, Dan.
No.
Oh, it's still a thing.
No, it can't still be a thing.
Oh, come on. They're all still there, Dan. We just don't hear about him every day because he's not the president.
Former NFL player is just not even seeing the field.
No, come on. It's not still a thing. It can't still be a thing.
I want to believe that Baker is for real. And I kind of feel that you're trying to let me down easy, that he's going to turn into a pumpkin as soon as this week. But I want to believe. He's proven that he's going to have a career now in the NFL, where last year it kind of felt like it was in jeopardy.
I think that is a totally fair assessment. I do not think he's better than the quarterbacks you named at the top, but I do think he has demonstrated this season that in the right situation, he can still play. He still deserves to be a starter in this league, which is incredible. Like, it's a crazy accomplishment. I think people are really questioning that about Mayfield.
Mina, I have a question. If Trevor Lawrence was in a bigger market, would he be getting a lot more heat than what he is now? Because he's kind of a bum. I've heard.
Don't think.
Oh.
I don't think he's a bum. I think he's had a down year. I think the situation stinks. The Jacksonville Jaguars have one of the worst rushing attacks in football. The offensive line is not good. The wide receivers, I think, have maybe the most drops in the NFL behind the Kansas City Chiefs. So I wouldn't put it all on Trevor's feet. I do think, though, however, like, you're probably right. Like, if he was the quarterback of, I don't know, the Dallas Cowboys, he would be inciting a lot more debate. We would be talking a lot more about, can you trust Trevor Lawrence? You know, is he letting the nation down? Should he be sent to prison in the way that we talk about Dak Prescott?
Trevor Lawrence's stats, some people were pointing out with a lot of glee, look a lot like Daniel Jones's, at least the counting stats. Your thoughts there are what?
I think you should watch the games and come to an assessment based on the product that you see on the field. I'm a stats person, but quarterback play in general simply cannot be captured statistically in a way that I think maybe like we lose sight of. Like, it's just so many things go into whether a quarterback is actually playing well. You have to watch the game. You have to see the context around him. You have to see the play calling. You have to see who he's going up against. You have to see the protection, all of that, the decision making. What is he asked to do? And I think, to the point about Trevor, I want to be clear. I don't think he's having a great season, certainly not by his standards, but he is not the biggest problem on this Jacksonville team by any stretch, and he is definitely better than Daniel Jones.
Mina, I'm usually not here on Thursdays, and I feel like I don't want to be too forward and say we're friends, but I feel like we're friends enough, right, to bring something. There's been some chatter around The Office, and I'm not here, so it's the first I hear of it, so I wanted to bring it to your attention. The sign behind you that says dogs welcome, people tolerated. There's some concern that you may be quickly reaching the territory where you have like a bathroom that's themed like a beach, or you have signs in your kitchen that say live every day like it's Taco Tuesday. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention in case you were unaware of these rumblings around this office in particular.
I have more of those signs. Do you want to see? Okay.
Every one
You
of
definitely
them.
have one that says it's wine o'clock somewhere, right?
Okay, hold on. Let me find the other one. 1 second.
Okay, we will wait for you. Cannot wait to see what kind of.
But first, coffee.
So what are you accusing her of? Maximum momming? What is the actual accusation?
The way that it was described to me was elder millennial.
Yeah.
Also known as millennial cringe.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say it, but
That's what you were thinking, Lucy.
Oh no,
Lucy.
See the good
Oh,
is the sign
God.
she has
Okay.
emerged with. You have just been. I don't want to say that you were accused of being millennial cringe, but I was asking them, what are you accusing her
millennial-
of? Maximum momming?
This is basic. I think this is basic, is how we would describe people who have these signs. And they are all gifts from my mom. So you guys are criticizing Mina Kimes, you haters, the most loved person on the internet. Why are you so mean?
Wow.
And the reason I keep this sign up there is just as sort of like a message to her when I'm on TV that I'm thinking about her. Why do you hate my mom,
The
Billy?
haters.
What
Yeah,
is your-
guys, why do you hate
Now
your
I
mom?
legitimately feel terrible. I'm going to carry this with me the rest of the
Feel
day.
bad.
Good, Mina.
I'm not going to name names, Mina, but they said, we want to ask Mina about this, but we're all afraid. Billy, you do it. And I said, okay.
No, it sounded like you meant it, and it hurts, honestly.
Well,
Do you have a
I might have
towel
to ask her.
that says family fall football?
I would love a
Family.
towel like that.
Do you have a sign that says, in this house we get wild, but only till 9 p.m.?
I have another one that she sent me that says, if my dog's not invited, I'm not coming, which is pretty good. Pretty good sign.
She
Do you have a
took
sign
out.
that says protected by FAFO?
She took out the heavy artillery on you guys. She not only summoned her dog,
Around and find out.
but also
What a
her
hater.
mother.
She's in her 70s.
Mina, thank
Why
you.
would you do that?
Elder millennial.
See you later, Mina.
So rude.